real.
Yes, and Sky loves to call it Emerald Sapphire Bleen, which makes me uncomfortable.
It should. We're allowed to do some creative stuff here with our colors, but that one it's rough. But either way, Sky here is one of our bounty players. I somehow have become the unofficial sponsor of Nebraskan players everywhere, and that's because I'm from Nebraska. And I had the privilege of casting the Krypton Comics double 1K weekend, and I got to see Sky take home first place on Saturday, and then he changed his deck and still ended up getting third place on Sunday. So
Yeah.
Sky's pretty indomitable with his deck.
He's just that good. He is a member of Villain Club, obviously.
Yes, and he's nice though. The villain club is very confusing, but yes, you're a member.
No, we are
against your
all
will.
evil. We are all evil. You just don't know yet. And he's typically a Sapphire Steel enjoyer, but unfortunately, not finding the success he wants to find with that deck in this meta.
Well, and that's okay because he did make a deck called "You Took My Toys, Now I'm Gonna Break Yours." Now I don't think he'll be running that today because that one has a very very intimidating pigeon by the name of Vinny, but not. I don't think he'll be running in that deck. I think that's his pet deck. I think today he's here to win. This is a 15K. We're gonna have 9 rounds today. Cut to top 16 tomorrow. So we see him no turn 1, but we are on turn 2, and we have an Ursula on the other side though. Frank is saying, have you seen this card before? It's Hidden Inkcaster. Curiously enough, that does make every card inkable, but it doesn't make them double inkable, but it does let you draw a card both time you play it.
Right, yeah. Hidden Inkcaster actually probably the most important item for Frank to see this early into the game because you are relying on a lot of uninkable cards that are quite powerful in your deck.
Exactly, and it's very interesting that we saw this deck piloted a few times over the past couple weeks. I believe, I'm trying to remember the name of the player. I think it's Kwame was playing this at CCS, possibly. There's a lot of tournaments, but either way, Kwame was playing this deck, and it's hard to you have to have known what they're up to because they're going to be doing some stuff here. They're going to be coiling, trying to get you under the sea. It's kind of like a weird image of inverse of the Ruby Sapphire item stack, but it's got different tricks, but it's still trying to use that Sapphire coil to take the most advantage as possible. But we do see Ariel fishing on the other side. And what song, if any, is he hitting?
Ariel is, of course, voiceless per usual in this stream.
Oh,
Also, Sky inking a Be Our Guest. That's a spicy one. If people don't know Sky, Sky always has the spiciest things to add to his decks.
he is, not afraid to take risks, which is one of the pleasures of watching him play.
Yeah, off meta. I mean, when you're playing off meta and your opponent sees something that they did not expect, it could steal a game easily.
Yeah, and that's such a good point to point out. I mean, yesterday we saw in game 2, Melissa of the Freedom Mountain, which is another bounty player, was against a member of the Glibineers who played a whole new world off a Monterey Jack bodyguard. So there's things that,
Yes.
you go, what? And they had already played several docks. So sometimes those cards are enough. Now, here we see a Lucky Dime, and you might say, that's not inkable. Hidden Inkcaster.
It is now.
Yeah, Hidden Inkcaster says, hey, this whole 60-card deck, I hope 60 cards. That's very controversial if more. But yeah, that Lucky Dime is now very inkable, and you don't even have to hide it like you would with Tipo.
I also really enjoy that Sky chose to storm his own Ursula.
Yes.
This was a play that I brought up a couple times yesterday while watching Amber Steel, and it's something that I also like doing, especially when you know that your opponent really doesn't have a way to remove that Ursula. I mean, you're drawing a card, you're filtering out an uninkable, and then you're going to be able to Rapunzel it later.
Exactly. We're not afraid of Sisus here. We're not afraid of Rush. So we say, it's an investment. I got time right now. I'm going to draw a card. And in this case, that's my favorite moment ever there. We say, can I read that card? We see Galactic Communicator.
Yeah, which actually could have returned the Ursula to hand.
Yeah. You pay 1 ink to banish this item. And yeah, like you said, return item with 2 costs or less. And against the Steel Song deck, pretty nice. There's some cards you're going to want back. And at the very least, it counts towards an item. And as Mickey Mouse would say, that's a tool for later. We will find out why he's collecting those items and what his plan is there. But the Lucky Dime was a pretty good hint.
Yeah, and for those that don't know Frank, obviously Sky's one of our featured players, so we got to talk to him, interview him earlier. Frank is a part of Luxury Gaming. Anyone that knows my history knows that I used to be a part of Luxury Gaming. Absolutely love those people. Shout out to Allie. I'm sure you're in the chat.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the Luxury Gaming team, I did get a chance to talk to Dancer yesterday. I mean, Allie is lovely. And then, I mean, the whole team, they're not all wearing gold as I thought they would, but they are humble and kind. You would think that their luxury, they come up in their Cadillac. But here we go. So the the long haul Rapunzel trap of playing a whole. Like you mentioned, putting 2 damage, just knowing that you're going to get investment on it. And we see just singing to get some cards because it makes sense. I mean, we saw him inking a Be Our Guest, which makes me believe that he's like, listen, I got to invest in myself. And he has filled his hands with 3 Let the Storm Rage Ons. And now he's got more cards, got more options, which is important because Frank is here for the long game.
Yeah, so I would say that Amber Steel is highly favored in this matchup. However, Sky, obviously not knowing what his round 1 opponent is playing, kept a hand that was very much anti-aggressive decks, and unfortunately ran into the one deck that has maybe 8 to 12 characters.
Yeah. And so he said, how can I generate value where there's little value to generate? And he was able to do it. I mean, singing, like you said, he got to play a Let the Storm Rage On for free. So singing is, I always feel like it's a discount,
Oh,
free.
yes.
And so then he got value off of that and was able, I mean, he did send 2 Let the Storm Rage On Ursula, but with Galactic Communicator, not the worst thing because later those songs are going to matter because I don't know for sure, but there might be a shift in this package where songs are going to matter quite a lot. If this is the same deck that we have seen Sky play a few times, there might be something coming that's a little spicy, and songs are going to be pretty important. But we don't know. We are just watching here. I do see Rhino.
We do see
How,
Rhino.
when you see Rhino, do you feel anger or happiness? Because he is a very divisive card out here.
I love Rhino. Rhino is so good with Rapunzel. If a 4 power character is exerted, you are able to Rhino it down to 3, challenge with something like an Ursula, and then Rapunzel to draw 3 cards. Whereas normally you would not be able to do that before Rhino was printed.
Yeah, I mean, he can be difficult to navigate. If you've ever had a Rhino in play in a Rapunzel in hand, you're like, I gotta make this math work. It is a little bit frustrating at times, but if you're able to use it as a more aggressive maneuver, like you mentioned, then yeah, he can put in some work. And in this case, we're gonna hedge our hamster bets here by putting out both the big Rhino and then the shift target Rhino. So maybe a Rhino for later.
Right. You could even Rhino your own character to get around things like, say, World's Greatest Criminal Mind.
Oh, yes. World's Greatest Criminal Mind is one of those cards that it's not always useful. It's very, very meta dependent depending on
Yes.
what people are running. However, if you are afraid of the big bads of the world, there is nothing more beautiful than seeing Chernobog come down and have Cinderella sing a 3-cost song to remove him on spot with World's Greatest Criminal Mind. But we're still building up. We're still collecting a little bit of banking our items. Scrooge McDuck did come and leave, but we do see Fishbone Quill come down, which will be good to, further that ink situation. You know that Frank is looking for what might seem like an irresponsible amount of ink in his
Right.
deck, but he needs it because he wants to do what they call a one-turn win. They call it OTK, but basically the goal is you have this one turn where you're like, oh, I'm losing, and then bam, you got a Tamatoa Lucky Diamond. You don't know what just happened.
Exactly.
That's expensive.
Beefcake unfortunately lost in the top 8 of the Friday event. However, he did go from 0 to 19 in one turn, one
Yes.
item away from clinching that.
And it looks crazy because, I mean, right now you're looking at the board and you're like, there's no way. Look, he's got so much. Now, I will say the difference between Beefcake's deck and Frank's deck is he has this card that people might know called Be Prepared.
Oh, a Pete was exactly what he needed.
Yeah.
Because Under the Sea is in Frank's deck, and he was pressing to a point where he would be able to play that for the full 8, which we rarely see.
Exactly. Under the Sea is one of the rare Sing Together. Sing Together cards actually come out so far every 4 sets when it comes down to the Illumineer quest, because the whole point is you can sing it with your friends. Come on, guys, sing together. But in this case, it is a song that is a joyful song to send everybody to the bottom of the ocean, and it feasts very heavily on this type of deck. We don't see a coil in play yet, but even without the coil, it would take out all but 3 of the cards in play. But not yet, because we have Pete.
Yes, the whistle has been blown, as they say.
Yeah, timeout. Now, as far as how much lore we have on board, we do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that is, as the kids call it, lore on board, story on board, basically game on board. So Frank says, I would like to sing Under the Sea, but now I have to work really hard.
Yep. So Frank has to use his Galactic Communicator, something that he would prefer to have in play. But when push comes to shove, what are you gonna do?
Yes, that is, yeah. You have to get creative. And we saw that yesterday with a few different cards. We saw people pulling the lever on their own goat. We saw people hiding away their own items. So sometimes you really do have to get creative with these cards. But with this crab, isn't it's never goodbye. It's just see you later with your items.
Right. And unfortunately, Frank has not been able to find a popsicle. A popsicle, I feel, is what's really been lacking in his gameplay here. And, it's unfortunate for him.
There's two items I quite like in this popsicle, obviously for the card draw, but the other one of my favorite ones, is Radigan's Trap.
Oh,
It
yeah.
is a pirate's life for non Ruby players, and that's why this deck is very like I call them like cousins. They're related. The items deck, but that one it doesn't have pirate's life. It has Radigan's Trap, which will take off 2 lore, I believe, and then Tamatoa comes back and says again another one.
And again, and again. And yet again, Ariel, voiceless. I'm sure he was looking for a BR guest there so that he could try to find another Pete.
Yeah. Yeah, Pete would be nice because I do feel like we're going to find out, darling, it's better down where it's wetter in just a moment. But we'll see. I mean, in this game, you're always playing around these kind of scary threats, but sometimes your opponent doesn't have it. So in this case, he's kind of committed. He can't, what's on board is on board, but it might be the last time he gets the quest with it.
Yeah. If I'm Sky here, I'm just turning everything sideways and hoping.
Yes.
Which is a great strategy. People don't realize how good of a strategy it is. It might be the best one.
Yeah. One of the things I like in this game is you got a quest, you want to draw cards, and then you want to win. And in this case, he found a song, and he says, "You know what?
Taking out the Tamatoa, even if he does get under the seed, well,
You got to pay."
Yeah, and he's not going to be able to play items for free. And I think we're in the concession.
And we saw that this is the reason Sky says there ain't enough room in the town for the both of us. And there might be room, but not in this game one. So Sky goes ahead. He says, "Oh, these packs smell pretty good." And we're about to see game 2. And my favorite part is the pile. How many? Some people do 10, some people do 6. We're seeing 8 here. Now Sky does one of my favorite where he does I don't even know what he's doing there, but I love it.
I can do that. Yeah, I was laughing when you and Color were talking about that on ICL.
Yeah, because it's like wow.
Yeah.
Look at that.
It was great. And then Frank, ex Yu-Gi-Oh player, always doing piles of 8. White sleeves, piles of 8, cloth mat, Yu-Gi-Oh Pro.
Oh yeah, that's cloth. Yes, a cloth mat. We talked about this yesterday. I bought a cloth mat purely because I want people to believe that I'm a serious gamer, and I just feel like if I see a cloth mat, I'm like, oh, this is a gamer. And then white sleeves. I'm like, those are plain. They're not even finished.
Yeah.
You didn't pick a color.
This mat here, by the way, was for sale. It was serialized, so it was limited to 50. All of the bounty hunters are also going home with one. But if you are, a cloth mat enjoyer, if you're an enjoyer of limited edition things, then I think you need to come to Denver and Orlando, and you can pick one up for yourself.
Yeah, I'm finding out right now. I could have bought one yesterday. I thought I had to go fight one of these bounty players. I was like, Skylar, how much do you weigh? How much do you lift?
You could take him.
Yeah, I think maybe. I got a lot of anger and rage in here, but either way, I did not fight Sky. I wouldn't do that. He seems nice, and either way, we see Sky going into game 2, and Frank saying, it'd be really nice if I got some popsicles. I know I run them, but where were they?
Yeah, Inkcaster, most important thing, popsicle number 2.
Yeah, I think seeing that second Inkcaster was like, okay, well, that's a card, I guess, but it'd be really nice is a popsicle, cheap, lovely, but instead we're going to go ahead. I'm sure maybe knowing what Sky's playing, a bell could be nice. Sky kind of had run of the game, and he didn't even have that aggressive of a start.
Right. He had probably the slowest start his deck could have.
Yes.
He mulliganed for a specific matchup, did not play into it, but still, one of the fun facts I had about Sky, we had some time. We could interview the players if we wanted to. I didn't need to. I'm on Villain Club with Sky.
Yes.
I know everything about him.
You're in the clubhouse of the lair with him.
Yeah, and one of the things that you will learn about Sky is he's unreasonably handsome for how good he is at card games.
Yes.
It's really not fair.
I do say Luke gets a lot of credit for having the prettiest hair, but Sky's hair it does not miss. It is very coiffed, and I think it's a way to tilt his opponent. We'll see if it works here, of him being like, oh, I woke up like this, and he probably did.
Yeah, for me to be as good at card games as I am, I have to look like me, which, not even close to Sky.
Now we're in the Sky fan club right now, but Frank here is a little bit. I mean, he deserves a lot of flowers here too, because this is a deck that requires. It's very similar to like the Ruby Sapphire deck that we talked about with items yesterday, where you have to be patient. You have to be willing to look like you're absolutely losing. So now I know your other villain member Zach Bivens played this
Yes.
at Worlds.
Yes.
Yes. So
Zach played the exact lineup I would have. I also leaked it on Twitter,
oh, good.
but no one believed me.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, that's what you get when you joke around. A lot of people are like, "Nah,
Yes.
he don't mean it." But
It's so nice that I could say all the truths and everyone thinks it's just funny.
people saying, "Oh, we're entering the Gloyd glob or Gloyd meta." It was a Gloyd meta off the top
Yes.
deck to win at Worlds. But no, Zach did run the deck very similar. We don't know if it's exactly the same, but same kind of mechanics. And I see you here getting excited.
Interesting, inking the signed contract. It's in there specifically for the Amber Steel matchup. So that leads me to believe if I'm Sky, all right, Frank is low on uninkables. Of course, it doesn't matter because of the hidden inkcaster. He can ink whatever he wants. But Sky can start to paint a picture of exactly what's in Frank's hand, which can be very powerful.
Yeah, it's very. You may draw a card. There's gonna be songs. I mean, I hate to
Yes.
tell you this, but Sky, he has a whole songbook. He's sitting there and he's got his like little.
He's a composer.
He is, and he's got one of those little batons and is about to tap. But instead, we have a turn 2 Rhino. Get out of the way, Evil Queen, with the commanding presence. She's not Evil Queen in this game. She's just the Queen. Her motives are unknown. But now we say Steel Song, out with the Queen, in with the Rhino. And while Rhino cannot sing A Whole New World, he can sing Along Came Zeus, and he can just be there and be there for a while. It's just nice.
Right. It's amazing. Little Rhino, not that strong. Hamster Ball, also not strong. Rhino in Hamster Ball, very strong.
Yes.
And we see an Oswald sighting.
Yes, and sometimes he's lucky, sometimes he's not. And here we go. We get to see the lucky rabbit drawing an item. So this is one where you, whenever a card is put into your inkwell, you get to reveal a card. If it's item, you play it for free. So different than Scrooge.
And
you
it
just get
enters exerted.
Yeah, so that is kind of, which, that does matter because Scrooge is one where you have to exert the item to pay. There's other items that you have to exert it. Some you just have to banish it. Oswald is a card. When it works, you actually feel like the smartest person alive. And when it doesn't, well, you still got 2 lore. Or,
Right.
He can still get 2 lore in a pinch.
Yeah, Oswald not great into the Amber Steel matchup because it does unlock all of that cheap removal that we were talking about. However, when you're playing against more of the controlling base decks, Oswald looks like the best card in all of Disney Lorcana.
Now, as a little, it's still breakfast time, so I'll feed you guys a little fact. Before Mickey Mouse, there was Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. Oswald was created by Walt Disney and his team, but then they lost the rights to it, so they didn't have Oswald for many, many years until finally, I believe, several decades later, they said, Oswald, get back in here. So welcome back, Oswald, and shout out because, we got Mickey Mouse. You can see, they look like they're cousins here.
Right.
But yeah.
And now we see there's that
Yeah, there's the
removal we
reason
were
why
talking about.
he's a lucky rabbit, but he's also very endangered.
Yeah, but now we get to see Oswald at the beginning of every modern Disney film, which is nice to see when I take my kids.
It is nice to be like, you did it, Oswald. So that's, I think, for anybody that's ever, started the day with a loss and come back, we can all relate to an Oswald in the world. But here we go. He says, Pete's nice. So
Early Pete, not ideal, but,
No, but
you want to play your cards.
it's a body, and if it's on curve and that's his 3-drop, then
Yeah.
it's not the worst thing to have because Pete, he can sing.
Right.
I always forget that you think about him as like a game changing, really stopping the pressure here. But he can sing. Most of the songs in the deck. The only one he can't sing is Along Came Zeus, and I don't know if he's running A Whole New World.
Right, it's Sky, so you never know.
He's-
You literally never
It
know.
depends on how he was feeling and what the conversations were like this week. Sky, notably, he got a shout out from Ed Chu, who you might know. He's a player of Disney Lorcana.
May have heard of him.
Yeah, he recently was in a competition called Worlds in the finals, and he was heavily inspired by the work that Sky has done on this Amber Steel deck because Amber Steel is a deck that has had many identities since the first set, and Sky is willing to experiment and say it's not just always one thing; it can be a lot of things.
All right, so he's got his workshop online.
There
He's
we
got
go.
his Scrooge. He has 2 popsicles. He has everything. He has all the tools he needs to win this game. Now it's just a matter of can he beat the clock that Sky is going to be putting him on, which is a completely different axis than a lot of the decks. It's really interesting when typically you're jockeying for position, going back and forth, but when one deck is off to the races and the other one is just like, yeah, I'm going to try to win exactly the turn before you do. It changes the whole dynamic.
And I think it's truly, if you had a chance of watching, did you watch Zach Bivens' pilot? I'm assuming
Yes.
you're like, you couldn't not watch, right? So
Oh, yeah. That was my number 1 horse.
I was like, well, he's obviously losing, right? And then he just did this turn where, you're just like, just doing and playing and doing these cards. And then suddenly he went he won. And he was not winning with that deck at the time, but that deck, it's you got to be patient, and Sky knows that. Sky can the Amber Steel. One of the biggest things that you can lose to is yourself. You can run out of cards, run
Right.
out of gas, and now that Frank has this workshop online, he's got all the tools he needs to keep this car going. So Sky has a treacherous journey ahead, and possibly a long one, with 30 minutes left in the match. Less than 30 minutes, about 28 minutes.
Yeah, and Frank putting up the walls. I have a Scrooge. I have a Bell. Good luck questing Sky.
Yeah, can we go to Mount Olympus and say, Zeus, are you
But
in there?
but then of course if Sky doesn't quest and Frank is able to just keep his characters, he will soon have Sing Together 8. So you're in a conundrum.
Exactly. Now we don't see any coil on board. So the good news is, we're feeling a little safe, but we're still a little scared. So I think Sky is trying to say, listen, I would like to win fast. That window is slowly closing. I'm at 2 lore, and on turn 4 here, but he knows that, yeah, he has to invest in what the next phase of the game. And this is a great investment card here with Be Our
Yep.
Guest, because you're like, let me get the character I need here. Now, ironically, he got a lot of songs off of Be Our Guest.
Oh my.
That is
The
insane.
opposite of Ariel.
That
Yeah.
he's laughing because that
Yeah.
is insane business.
He put their service to the test and they were like, we're closed for the day.
They said, "Sir, we are not serving lunch till later. It is still the morning." And we see him ink one of the cards I mentioned earlier. That is Ariel Sonic Warrior, and a very, very important card to have those 4 songs that just got sent to Davy Jones' locker.
Right. If he could have, he had Pete on 3. If that was Ariel on 3 and he was able to shift on 4, I mean, that card is just bonkers to have to banish. 8 willpower.
Yeah, it is. I mean, now that being said, 8 willpower against a deck that could have Go-Go. I don't know. I don't know what they're up to. Whenever I see Emerald, there could be a Go-Go around any corner. Just get ready
Yeah.
for a lady on some razor, or like some, whatever, those little rollerblades.
Surprise go-go, not the most fun experience.
No, it is not. Especially when it happens in limited. That's also the worst. Where you're like, I forgot. But here we go. We got another Oswald online. So the item party just keeps on going. He's about to ink and see. Are you a lucky rabbit? Is Sky have the unlucky mermaid and service staff, and we have a lucky rabbit? We're about to find out. But he has to decide what to ink. But everything's inkable. Oh, and that's another thing to point out, that when everything's inkable, it also becomes a problem, because now you really need to make sure you draw cards.
Yeah.
That is the scary thing. Maurice's Workshop will help. I don't know if Sky's running any item removal. Oh,
Okay.
wow. Okay, that is a very
Obscure.
lucky rabbit.
Obscurosphere.
Obscurosphere, which was obscure and needs to read it here, because this is I believe the spheres came out in Shimmering Sky, or no, I'm not sure exactly.
Set 5, Shimmering Sands.
Wow, look at that. And two costs to banish this item. And then you get some ward. Your character get ward to the start of your next turn, which is the best. When
Yeah,
you
this paired with Tamatoa. I mean, normally you can't just run Tamatoa out, but if you have 10 ink, play a Tamatoa. It has ward. Good luck. Have fun.
Yeah, I am not scared, because I think this is a thing, right? We talk about like timing your characters, making sure that they feel as safe as possible when you deploy them. And Obscure Fear says, I'll keep you safe, I'll keep you sound, and I will see. But yeah, like we mentioned, that Tamatoa, he is so shiny and so annoying when you have multiple items in play, especially if we're able to get a dime. A dime for free would be really nice.
Right. Frank now definitely looking for a coil. He has all the other pieces. He has Sing Together 8. If he can somehow put together a coil plus Under the Sea, I think he might send Sky packing this game.
Yeah, I mean, everything's lining up in his favor. Sky, he has some value characters here. I mean, the good news is none of these are under the seeable, but if Sing Sapphire Coil, is it in that pile of items he has over here? But yeah, I mean, like you mentioned with Under the Sea, anyone could be on the menu. And here we go. I think I see a Rapunzel, but like I mentioned, Rapunzel's kind of annoying when paired with a rhino. That's a tougher one. Now, what about 3 rhinos?
We have a horde.
Yes, now it is an infestation. This is when you start calling you pull out the phone book and say, what are his hamster problems? What section is that in? Belle is making the same face I would make if 3 hamsters rolled into my house. But they do quest for 2. That is the good value, is you can quest with them, quest while you have the chance, because yeah, they got resist. Why not? Even Scrooge can't take out a rhino in one go. So you would have to dedicate a lot of resources to it. And looking at Frank's hand, I think I do see.
He does have the Under the Sea.
Yeah.
Which Sky definitely knows this, because Frank did not challenge. He didn't want to lose any of his characters last turn. so badly did not want to lose them. He gave them ward, in fact.
Yeah, he said,
So
"Please, I need them." So Sky's looking away because he's like, "If I see my hamsters." But here we go. We're about to see. Can Oswald be this lucky? I don't think so. But
yeah, definitely looking for the coil. It's the
yeah,
only missing piece.
and then once the coil's online, things are a little less fun because it lowers by 2, and if he inks twice, you get to do it again. So we do see him go ahead and ink a Maurice's Workshop. He already has one. To be greedy to have 2, and
Nope, flips
finally,
an Ursula.
I don't want to say. I mean, because if it's too lucky, then you start wondering like. Man, why isn't everybody running Oswald? And that's why, to remind you that gambling is bad. Gambling results in sometimes you're not getting a card. But either way, he's still looking cute and still helping with the singing if he can get to the coiling of it all.
This also, it really showcases how in a combo deck, when you assemble the combos, it's infinitely greater than the sum of its parts. However, when you're missing just one piece, it kind of feels like what am I even doing here? Until, like you said, Sky could be at 19, and all of a sudden Frank could be like, "No, I'm just kidding, I win."
Yes, and it's kind of we see the dime, so it's
Oh,
already
lucky dime flipped.
it's like watching a storm cloud slowly form. You're like, uh, is this going? Now I admit I was looking at Sky's many rhinos over there. You said whiffed, but did he get that?
Lucky dime hit. Yeah.
Oh wow, so yeah, so here we go. And looking at it, he's like, I don't have any songs. I really wish I did, but I only have this. And he does have, now we see a Rapunzel trap, which makes it where he's like, okay, now I can exert.
Right.
So the math is a little difficult because Sky, I mean, if he can't under the sea this turn, then Sky still has a total of 7 on the board. So I don't know. It's kind of rough here. He has to make some calculations of, I need to survive. I can't let Sky keep getting passive income off of this hamster ball party.
Yeah, I mean, you're really inclined to take out the Pete, which he does. But then again, you are setting up where Rhino can challenge Scrooge, and then you can draw 2 cards off Rapunzel.
Now, you mentioned this earlier, and so he got that dime off of Oswald, correct?
Yes, so
So
it
it
should
should
be
be,
exerted.
yeah. And so
Yes.
that's something where, like we mentioned, not every item matters whether it's exerted or not. But Fishbone Quill, Lucky Dime, those are cards that you have to. Obscure Fear is another one where you have to exert it. So it being exerted when it comes into play will matter. Now it doesn't matter the minute he passes his turn, but just to keep in mind for the folks at home that are like, I want to play this Mad Lad deck. That is the downside. It's free, but you got to be patient.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it is Frank's card, but it's both players' responsibility.
Yeah, but he's looking at. I think maybe when you see 3 hamsters and you see Sky, it can be scary. And so here we go. He's doing the thing you don't want to. It feels bad, but you still got 1 or 2 damage on the hamster, so 2 cards. And then that heals him up, and the resist is back on the menu, and we see Sky feeling pretty good, filling his hand up, and
Yep. Adding 2 lore to the board, adding a Singer 4. And, I keep saying it, but these rhinos have made Rapunzel better than ever.
yeah, and it's kind of counterintuitive. It feels like a non-bow, but it works. It works because it lets you do a very powerful challenge and still get some value out of it. Normally, it's a trade. In this case, it's not a trade, and you get cards, which is kind of like the worst for your opponent to lose a character and then watch your opponent be like, hee hee, I got 2 cards. And now, also notably, we are not able to sing together. We have lost the choir, and now we're back. We're trying again, and we'll rebuild the choir and see what we can do here. But he did get to play that Scrooge for free, which is quite nice. And he's sitting at a total. The white sleeves always get me. Here's 7 ink.
Also, he's facing down Sky going to 19.
Yeah, so he's
right?
like, I got to come up with some answers, and I got to do it expeditiously. So I do, but even with, we haven't had. There's no coils, right?
Right. Yeah, he just can't find them.
Oh.
There's a trap.
It's a trap. Now it's a trap. It's also a stall technique because it will, if he activates it, he is able to take Sky down by 2 lore, but he's still got a hamster problem.
Yeah, Frank's reaction to drawing that card really said it all. He's just not finding what he needs to do. He's playing how he needs to play. He's doing everything he can within his control. And that's just trading card games for you. Me and Liam were talking about this yesterday. I think this is a great thing. Like, if the better deck or better player won every single time, go play chess.
Exactly. And I think that the thrill of this game, the thrill of playing any deck, is knowing that the highs of winning and the lows of going, and that's, I mean, if you want to play a deck that's kind of boring, play Ruby's Amethyst. I'm just kidding. But Ruby Amethyst is a deck that not a lot. It play to drive straight down the middle of the lane a lot of the times. But a deck like this, you are gambling, you're building engines, you're Oswalding. It's a whole journey of trying to make a puzzle work. And one of the pieces of the puzzle was not three hamsters in a ball.
Yeah, I can't remember what they're called right now, but those machines that are all a chain reaction.
I always want to say
Yeah.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg machines, but I think it's Ruth Goldberg machines. Ruth
Yes,
Goldberg.
absolutely. That is what Sapphire Emerald items
It
is.
is. It's just like, gotta put this piece here now. Are we gonna have? We had Ariel knows song.
Oh,
Fine.
oh my God.
Gosh, I
Yeah,
didn't think he'd
I
run this. I'll
did
be
not
honest. I
expect
didn't bring it
that.
up because I was like, well, he wouldn't. But that is.
Of-
Tell him about it.
I mean, how many times have we said it?
Yeah,
if,
you don't be
if
really
you
nice.
don't know what Sky is doing. Oh, with a Pete. Yeah, so I'll find him, I'll flatten him.
Yeah, he says, what does that?
Frank is in disbelief. Banishes all
All
items in
items.
play. All item. Yeah.
And he's
I
okay.
mean,
Yeah. And
What are you
this-
gonna do?
And he's smiling because this card, so Find 'em and Platinum, is a card that not everyone puts in their deck because it's not always useful. But there is a moment, and we can talk about this as we head back to the booth, that we know that the items, it has to have a critical velocity. You have to have enough decks in the meta where that card makes sense because
Yes.
it's not always important. And so for
Right.
a while, when we were living in that Sapphire Steel items meta and then also Ruby Sapphire meta, people are like, okay, this is important. So for Sky to do this was a complete meta call for him to say, I am confident that I'm going to face some decks today that are going to just build up a trove of items. And that smile is the face of a man who made a meta call, and it worked.
And Sky was here yesterday. He got to read the room.
Yeah.
I really want to know. I hope he's asked in the post match interview if that card was in his deck yesterday.
That is a good point because I mean, we talk about tech cards. So there are games where you're allowed to bring a series of cards with you, and then you can slide them in. Now, Lurkana, you don't necessarily have to do that because you have
Only in super sealed.
Well, yes, true. Well, but in constructed, the thought process is you have 60 cards with Inkcaster. All of them are inkable. So you can put in these kind of tech cards and say, well, if I don't have to use them, they're inked. But still, you want to put cards that you think you're going to use. So
Right.
Find 'em Platinum kind of found its way out of the meta for a while.
We should also mention that was the first aerial that hit, and the most important.
It was.
Right.
We got to see a lot of heartbreak on Sky. He went fishing for songs, no songs. He went for characters, no characters.
The no characters was
That was pretty silly. That was,
crazy.
I've never
Yeah.
seen such a thing. Because to be our guest, that's a set one card that people don't always play all the time, but we did get to see it here. And yeah, it was really nice. We didn't get to see the Sonic Warrior, but we got to see something even better than that. We got to see top deck Find 'em Platinum to win the game with a Pete. With a
Yeah.
Pete. That was like the most sinister part is just saying
Right.
like, and by the way, no, don't even think about it. Don't even get a Sapphire Coil off the top because I've already laid my trap. You have your trap. Mine is this card right here. Luisa going,
That was
I'm the strong one.
I'm so glad that was the feature match. That was absolutely fantastic gameplay.
Absolutely. So I am so excited. I hope that Dan asks. I mean, you could run out there while we're at the interview. But I think Dan might ask him because he seems as excited as we are. So I am very, very, very excited to hear about this deck. And this man that we're about to see has 4 packs in his pocket that he's not giving away. So
Yep.
he's about to find four boosties.
If I had to guess, Sky's going home with a booster box.
Yeah.
Intact.
So I think any moment now. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and cut it over to Dan as we hear Skycam and all about his wonderful play.